as many brilliant people as there are on the outside, there's that many on the inside because of this normal distribution. But I think that it's actually skewed more that there's actually likely more brilliant people on the inside than there than on the outside. And the reason that I began to start to think about this is because of the intentionality behind incarceration. So a lot of the time, the folks that are being incarcerated are being incarcerated because of the innovation that they've done in a space of deprivation. So, they're individuals that are coming from these communities of multiple deprivations of food
Dropping
deserts,
bombs right now. Like these
housing
are like
challenges.
you're like blowing my mind
And
because it's true. Like it's definitely true. Like those ex
they
definitely.
actually were innovators, right? I mean, so we're incarcerating some of the most innovative people that have come up with innovative solutions in the space of deprivation.
Yep.
If you put them in a space of surplus resources and they never were in the space of deprivation, and you use their innovation with unlimited amounts of resources instead of this space of deprivation, that they were still doing amazing things in this deprivation space. I mean, so I think we actually have more brilliant minds, and so that's why, like, I want this like institute to really help. I think the world would be a better place to help nurture that innovation instead of trapping them and stifling them and telling them that they're worthless and that they have no purpose, right? That's what I would like to see
But
in
I mean,
10.
you could like literally just drop the mic there. Okay, okay. How's the day going?
It's going. It's good.
I
Just
know
regular
it's
busyness.
yeah, but it was hard to find a blank spot in your calendar. So I'm, definitely honored that you were able to fit us in for a bit and really excited to hear from your perspective as the director and curator of all of this, how the release of Breaking Chains is going for you.
Yeah, so first, thank you for having me. And of course, thank you for accepting the invitation to be one of the co-authors. Your chapter is such an important contribution to the entirety of the piece. So, very happy that you said yes. And of course, it's a no-brainer for me to say yes to this. I know it's been challenging getting it scheduled, but definitely want to be part of the of this conversation. And I mean, it is as you know, we have 13 co-authors on this piece, and so it is such an honor and blessing to be able to have the opportunity to share your story and the other co-author's story in your voice. I think that was the biggest piece for me, is to allow others a platform for them to share their own authentic voice. And as you know, and maybe your viewers don't know, and so maybe I should give a little bit of background on that, is this stemmed from some work that a podcast that I had done in promoting my previous book, and I was sharing the stories. I was just talking about the work that we do at P2P, Prison to Professionals, how we help currently and formerly incarcerated men and women pursue higher education and put their lives back together and put a plan together for them to provide support for them, to put this plan together. And so Wiley reached out and asked for me to write a book on P2P and how we've helped various people. And of course, I came back to them and said, I would love to do that, but I don't want to write it. I want the people themselves to write it. I want their authentic voice to come through. They are, I believe that too often we as directly impacted people um, are exploited might be a very kind of too far of an extreme, but in some cases it definitely can be exploitation. But even in like a journalist or a writer's best attempt and most genuine attempt to be authentic and not to use harmful language, it still doesn't come out the same as the person's own voice.
Absolutely.
So that was just extremely important to me. And I think it came out, I'm obviously biased, but I've read the book many times because, of course, I helped edit all of the chapters. And so I've read it many, many times, piece by piece. And then I've also read it a couple of times in its entirety. And it is such a powerful book. I think it's going to help, break chains and build futures.
Yes, yes, literally. So, okay, so let's take it back a bit. I don't think everyone really understands the full gravity of who we have with us today. You're basically famous. I was just bragging about you the other day in a meeting with some brothers. I'm like, Dr. Stan, like he was just tenured, I'm like they were like they really understood it. Like, so he's the first formerly incarcerated person to receive tenure at a university. I'm just like, boom, like, this is who we're working with. And, I really got to understand a lot about your movement and your work through the time we spent, at NCHEP, in New Orleans. Like, you're really helping us to, experience other parts of the country and just taking us out of our boxes and putting us in other networks. I never even knew NCHEP existed until you sent me the message. And it was just such an honor. Rise up. I didn't get a chance to spend as much time as I would like because I had the babies, but such a great experience. Please tell us more about you as a person, your work, your first book, what you've been doing. It's like this is a conversation that can go on and on and on, but I really want the people to understand from you and your
Yeah.
like who you are and like the impact that you. I had talked to Mickey not too long ago in one of these episodes, so he was talking about.
Okay.
He's
You
like,
already.
we're gonna have Dr. Stan on. We're gonna have him on. So you're here, very excited. Let the people know who we're dealing with.
Yeah. So I am, Stanley Andrisse, the executive director and one of the co-founders of P2P, or Prison to Professionals, also known as From Prison Cells to PhD. Um, as with 85% of the people that work with the organization, I am a formerly incarcerated person with 3 felony convictions, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. As I got hit with the three strikes law as a prior and persistent career criminal. So I actually had a prosecutor looking at sentencing me to 20 years to life in prison. She felt that this young black boy from the Ferguson area had no hope for change. I got hit with the 10. Fast forward some time, I did my time on that 10. I'm now Dr. Stanley Andrisse, endocrinology scientist, and as of last month, tenured associate professor at Howard University College of Medicine, the first to our community's knowledge, first formerly incarcerated person to get tenure at a medical school. I was at Johns Hopkins Medicine before that, at Georgetown Medicine. I hold a visiting affiliation at Georgetown. Took my talents across seas to a place called Imperial College London. So, didn't live up to that expectation that this prosecutor had set. And, to dive a little bit deeper for the listeners, growing up in the Ferguson area in North St. Louis, I got involved in making poor decisions at a very young age, started selling drugs before I was a teenager, arrested for the first time at 15, continued to move deeper into the criminal legal system until that point is looking, sitting in a courtroom looking at 20 years to life in prison in my early 20s and, getting hit with the 10. Um, and most people, I mean, I imagine that folks that are tuning in have some understanding of the criminal legal system. But the prosecutor, the way these things kind of work is the prosecutor, how do you, I always, the way I phrase it is, how does a human being believe that another human being needs to be locked in a cage for the rest of their life?
Mhm.
And, the only way that a human being would try to say that someone needs to be locked in a cage for the rest of their life is to paint the picture of them as not human, right? And I really like the concept and idea of your podcast of ReHuman, because, the system, it is just inherent that they need to dehumanize you because a human being would not lock another human being in a cage for the rest of their life. You do that to an animal or something that you consider subhuman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the prosecutor, whether she felt this way or not, she knew she had a job to do, and that job was dehumanizing young Black boys, really, and her community, she eventually became a judge, and in order to get to be a judge, it's an elected official, so your constituents matter to you, and her constituents in this particular area didn't want young black boys causing problems in their neighborhood. So she needed to paint the picture of me as this subhuman thing. And
Yeah.
so I say that because I went into prison, and I believed that for a good portion of my incarceration. I was fortunate enough to have a mentor step into my life that saw me using my talents differently. That tied with, I ended up losing my father to his battle with type 2 diabetes, which led to me picking up my first scientific article um, while I was incarcerated. And I often share that, although my body was physically locked in a prison cell, my mind was freely roaming around the human cell. And in that way, I freed my mind long before my body was free. And that was kind of the changing moment for me. And that was actually, I was still incarcerated. And, the person that I used to have these conversations with ended up being the co-founder of the organization. So the concept of the organization really began in those early conversations of really, to rehumanize folks, right? We wanted to help people unlock their minds and see their true potential. And so time went by. I eventually, with the help of this mentor, applied to a number of schools. I was rejected from every school except for the one. He was on the admissions committee. Got into St. Louis University, completed my MBA and PhD simultaneously in 4 years at the top of my class, and moved to those other places. And then eventually founded P2P some years later after getting out. And after having helped mentor a few folks that we were incarcerated with and help them use education, we came to this understanding that if you provide mentorship, you provide, peer mentorship from people who have been through what you've been through, then you build a community, which is what we had started to do in our small group, a community of people who've been through what you've been through that aspire to something bigger than what society sees us doing. And then you provide access. So P2P basically does those three things. We provide mentorship, we provide community, and we provide access. That mentor for me, I had gotten rejected from all these places, but he gave me access to this door. He let me in. He talked to his colleagues and he let me in. And so that's what we do. And that was 8 years ago. Fast forward 8 years, we've now had over 2,500 people apply to the program, about 1,000 go through the program, and about 750 people complete the program.
Yes. I mean, you said so many things that have my wheels turning. I mean, the importance of community and your network, how
Yep.
that, allowed you to become who you are today. Like, makes me think like a redwood tree, like, you're like soaring, or even like a bamboo. Like it starts off, it's slow, it's slow, it's slow, but once it starts shooting, it like shoots exponentially, and so
Right.
like you're like this rocket and you're taking so many of us along with you. And we're grateful. You had mentioned how young you were when you started to engage in selling illegal substance, but it was like you were using the tools that you had with what you knew at such an early age, like so you're already so advanced. And it just makes me think, like, instead of addressing the root causes in the system, like how they just rather lock away, how many other geniuses did they lock away that weren't able
Yeah,
to make a way out like you did, and had that
a
community
lot.
network and someone to believe in them. So it's so many geniuses, like so many kings we have, so many queens we have that have
Yeah,
like exponential potential as well, but we've like just covered them and buried them. And
yeah.
so, yeah, you just got my wheels turning a lot. Going back even further, to your interest in endocrinology, you mentioned your father. Can you kind of take us into like that thought process? So you picked up the scholarly article, you knew what was going on in your family. You felt like you could learn something to apply, the practical, practically apply what it is that you were learning to someone that you really cared about, and you felt like you could heal the community. Like, how did that article turn into the action for you? Like, how long did that take? Like, what was that process?
Yeah,
The
so
book,
I,
but
the piece that I didn't just add to what I shared was it was really I picked it up because I didn't know what it was gonna be useful for really when I started. It was actually a coping mechanism. So I was just, in pain because I was losing my loved one and I wasn't there. I'm the youngest of five. My family are Haitian immigrants, so like we were a close-knit family. And to be going through death and dying and having losing loved ones is difficult, but then going through that while you're locked in a cage is this exponentially more challenging thing because of it's hard to be human inside. Like it's hard to have regular human emotions like crying and feeling sad and being angry because those things could literally bring harm your way inside. So I was actually trying to cope, also because he was my father was relatively healthy in my eyes. I knew he had diabetes when I went away. And then it just like the disease just exponentially like became worse. And my assumption was that I had something to do with it. So I had this sense of guilt actually. And I started reading to try to find out to really kind of help alleviate my guilt a little bit because I felt that it was clearly because of me leaving and all the pain that I had brought to him and the family because we had kind of fallen off through all the bad decisions that I was making even leading up to prison. And I felt that this was what drove him into losing his life. And so I started reading kind of out of coping and out of like feeling this deep sense of guilt and shame. And I came to fall in love with like the human cell and endocrinology and learning about the condition. And I also came to learn that uh maybe I played a role, but maybe it wasn't as deeply as like I was feeling it was. So
Mhm.
it was all about coping, but then I just like fell in love. Like, and then as I mentioned, I began to understand that I am more than what this prosecutor was saying about me. There's more potential, there's more to life. Like I just began like living in my head almost to where like I was no longer incarcerated. And I think like one of the things that we do in the program is even unfortunately, because of the trauma of incarceration, a lot of people, their body leaves prison and they're no longer physically incarcerated, but they sometimes, remain psychologically and emotionally incarcerated for the rest of their life. I mean, prison, it's very well documented the post-traumatic stress that prison brings, and it can literally lock your mind up for the rest of your life. And so we understand that, and I understood it on that personal level. So a lot of the work that P2P does is trying to help people unlock that.
Mhm.
And I mean, we try to help people find their passion. For me, like I found something that I was passionate about, and that helped me unlock my, incarcerated mind.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. And that's like what like the end of my book was like the journey to liberating the institutionalized mind. Because like you said, you don't have to be incarcerated to be institutionalized.
Yeah.
You never have to even be incarcerated
You
to be.
never, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's
It's
a
like,
lot of people that never touched a prison cell that are living incarcerated mind. Yeah, yeah.
but it's like you almost practice the inverse of that though. Like you were incarcerated, but you were enlightening your mind and you were liberating yourself, your soul, your spirit, even though
Yeah.
your body was in this particular in that physical form, in that space. So that's remarkable. I recently have been communicating with Philip, another one of our co-authors who is doing this work behind bars, and and just hearing what he wants to do and all the vision that he has for the outside. And
Yeah.
the people closest to the problem are the ones that are right there. And
Yeah.
love how you incorporated the voice of those that are still behind bars that are also free in mindset. And so
Right. I mean, Philip is a perfect example of his body has been incarcerated for 35 years, but his mind is like he's innovating solutions for our communities from the inside. And he's discovered that ability to free his mind.
So, okay, so it seems like a lot of what you do is like, you're making your dad proud, if you believe that he's still watching you and still covering you, like, it's like you're constantly working and, there is no shame there. Like you're honorable at what you're doing is honorable. He would be so proud of you. What's next for you? Like, where do you see yourself in like 10 years?
So I actually one of the things that I would love to see is, you know, an an institute, a college or a like an institute. And I know when I use the word institute, I immediately think of like institution and correctional institution.
No,
I'm thinking of like an institute
laboratories
for
and
formerly incarcerated
yeah.
folks to heal and grow. I mean, it's what P2P does, but to give us like this physical, like college campus
Mhm.
of just building and being a place for formerly incarcerated people to thrive and grow and innovate. And because, I mean, I always one of the things that I say is talent. And this is I didn't come up with this myself, but one of the things that I believe is that talent is distributed evenly, but opportunity is not. So the amount of brilliant people we have out in the free world, we have those same amount of brilliant people on the inside. But that's kind of how I've thought about it for a long time, because I mean, talent in a lot of things in life follow this what's called like a normal distribution, the bell curve. And so, the people inside, talent is in probably that same bell curve shape, is how I've believed it for quite some time. Because like being scientists and believing numbers, like it is said that basically everything kind of falls into this normal distribution. So it would just, reason would tell us, and logic and science would tell us that as many brilliant people as there are on the outside, there's that many on the inside because of this normal distribution. But I think that it's actually skewed more, that there's actually likely more brilliant people on the inside than there than on the outside. And the reason that I've began to start to think about this is because of the intentionality behind incarceration. So a lot of the time, the folks that are being incarcerated because of the innovation that they've done in a space of deprivation. So, they're individuals that are coming from these communities of multiple deprivations, of food
You're dropping
deserts,
bombs right now. Like these
housing
are like
challenge.
you're like blowing my mind
And
because it's true. Like it's definitely true. Like those
they
accidents.
actually were innovators, right? I mean, so we're incarcerating some of the most innovative people that have come up with innovative solutions in the space of deprivation.
Yep.
If you put them in a space of surplus resources and they never were in the space of deprivation, and you use their innovation with unlimited amounts of resources instead of this space of deprivation, that they were still doing amazing things in this deprivation space. I mean, so I think we actually have more brilliant minds. And so that's why, like, I want this like institute to really help. I think the world would be a better place to help nurture that innovation, instead of trapping them and stifling them and telling them that they're worthless and that they have no purpose, right? That's what I would like to see
But
in
I mean,
10.
you could like literally just drop the mic there because that's crazy. No, I love that so much. I mean, definitely makes sense that it'd be so much more concentration of ingenuity there because of like the fact that so many people that are making a way in our space of scarcity, but we're like persevering, busting through concrete, roses busting through concrete, but getting chopped down by weed whackers that are hating on the fact that we're not staying in line, not following assignment, not taking the folder that we were handed, but literally just making a way regardless. And so we're concentrated in this bunch. And if they had access to all the tools, the laboratories, the investments, the books, the technology,
Be
all the things,
insane.
it
We
would
would
be crazy. It
would be
would
crazy.
be crazy. Okay. All right. I was not even trying to go there. Like I'm in, I'm bought in, sign me up, I'm down. All right. Unlike higher ed. So y'all P2P, y'all do so many different things. Unlike higher ed is a major leg of this movement that I could definitely see being the direct pathway to the institution,
Yeah.
or institute. I'm sorry, the institute.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about. Tell us about unlike higher ed and what y'all have been doing. The vanity
Yeah.
box and all those different things. And
Yeah, so Unlock Higher Ed is led by another one of our co-authors on the book Breaking Chains, Building Futures, Judith Negrón. And Unlock Higher Ed has grown under her leadership to a place that I think we're nearing the tipping point of really like moving to this other level with it. I mean, with organizations and structure, with P2P, we reached kind of a tipping point where really investors and funders started buying in to the idea, and then it started to grow. I think we're nearing that place with Unlock Higher Ed. So Unlock Higher Ed is um, P2P is one of the co-founders of Unlock Higher Ed. Unlock Higher Ed was a coalition of currently and formerly incarcerated people that came in organizations that came together, P2P and myself being one of them, that said that our voices, meaning directly impacted people's voices, needed to be elevated in this space of what we call education justice. So, thinking about criminal legal system reform in the space of higher education. And the biggest challenge when we founded it in 2019 was, of course, Pell restoration. So we ended up getting some money. The co-founders of Unlock Higher Ed ended up getting some money from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Those funds landed with Sarita Steib in Operation Restoration in New Orleans, was one of the co-founders, and we began doing the work to unlock higher ed. And one of the big things was getting Pell reinstated. And, within less than 2 years of really like full force putting centering our voices of currently and formerly incarcerated people, Pell got passed. Pell, it's not that, I think it was the concerted effort because there was a lot of formerly incarcerated champions that had kind of individually been pushing for Pell restoration. And of course, for listeners not familiar,
yes.
before 1994 in the Clinton crime bill, one of the biggest, crime bills in our history that really escalated exponentially the people that were, mass incarceration, but it also took away Pell Grants from the inside. So before 1994, people were getting bachelor's, master's, doctorate degrees on the inside. In 94, all of that went away. And then for the next 25 years, it was gone, and there were advocates in the space, but it was mostly led by non-formerly incarcerated people. And there was sprinkles of formerly incarcerated people that were lending their voice. But Unlock Higher Ed put this collective power of this massive amount of formerly and currently incarcerated voices. And we held just event after event after event in those short couple of years, where we brought a bunch of currently and formerly incarcerated people to the Hill. And of course, Pell was reinstated in 2021. Um, and then, of course, we were also working on Ban the Box, remove the criminal conviction question from college applications, and also something called the Common Application. We were successful in doing that. We were successful in I think there's more than 10 states now. Maryland and New Orleans were two of the first ones. And so now we're moving into the space of Judith has brought us into the next, you know, Unlock Higher Ed 2.0, where Pell is passed now, Ban the Box has movement, And now we're looking to be able to support the individual states to really, you know, just open the floodgates and get as many people, even more people, pre 1994. Because pre 1994, there was actually like a large percentage of the prison population were engaging in college classes, and then it just basically went to zero. So now, Unlock Higher Ed is trying to help open the floodgates to like we want a crazy number of people inside to be inside in college classes. Like, I
Mm.
mean, we think at the moment only 4% of formerly incarcerated people have some type of college level experience. We want to jump that to like 60% of the prison population being in school, and that's what Unlock Higher Ed
It's
in a
so
nutshell
doable.
is trying to do.
And it's so doable because when you're in there, you're looking for things to engage in, so like it's a
Yeah.
really productive way. It's a way to, it's across the aisle. It's across the aisle type of thing. You talk about public safety, you talk about national security, you talk about, workforce readiness, workforce
Yeah.
replacement, all the things. And so
Yeah.
it's a solution to
Our
allow,
community safer. Yeah.
yep, yep.
No
So
brainer.
that is a no-brainer. All right, all right. So I don't want to hold you all day. Um, Going back to Breaking Chains, who do you want to have this book? I know it's the first edition. What is your vision for subsequent editions?
So great question. At this moment, I want to we have a 2 year agreement with the publisher Wiley to, publicize and work with their publicist and team to get this in the hands of as many people as we intended it to do. So I want to stay focused on that before thinking about the second one. Although the second one is obviously like in the works. This is first edition, and we know that there was essentially I worked with the publisher to think about that because I mentioned to them like, how do one, I don't want to tell the stories. And two, there's so many stories to tell. There's so many incredible, life-changing stories that will help people break chains and build futures by being able to, have access to these stories. So we can't just tell 13. We have to tell more.
Right.
And so there's more coming. But for this one, for Breaking Chains, Building Futures first edition, I really wanted to get into the hands of currently incarcerated people. I really wanted to get into the hands of people that provide services for currently incarcerated people and formerly incarcerated people. I want to get it into the hands of people in the community who have been impacted by incarceration, not just the people that sat in the prison cells or jail cells. I want to get it to their family members. I want to get it to their loved ones. I want to get it to the policymakers that are passionate or not passionate about this. I want to ignite a passion for them to understand, to rehumanize them. I mean, the stories essentially, I mean, one of the big things that we're doing in the diversity of stories, there's geographical diversity amongst the authors. There's racial, ethnic diversity among the authors. There's diversity amongst how the various authors, uh, moved into the space of being incarcerated. There's diversity as to what they've done after incarceration. So all of that was intentional to humanize it, right? Because I think if we humanize the narrative, more people will be willing to offer access and opportunity. And so for the people that have the power to offer access and opportunity, I want it in their hands, the policymakers, the program officials, the funders, the people that are serving this community. And then, of course, I want it in the hands of the directly impacted, currently and formerly incarcerated men and women, so they can see themselves. I mean, we have so many different stories that I mean, even just amongst those 13 stories, I think it would be hard for someone not to find themselves in it. Like
Mhm.
they would be able to see and say, I went through that and I experienced that and I can see that and I can see where this person is now. That can be me. So we want people on the inside and formerly incarcerated people to get their hands on it and really see themselves and help them break the psychological change and help them plant the seeds of building a future. That's one thing. I love the artwork of the book
Hmm.
and this idea of, um, a plant growing from these broken chains. So, we've broken the chains and now we've planted this seed that is now growing. And, it's building this future that wasn't present. And so I really love that imagery because that is what we're trying to do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andrisse. So, you're doing so much. You've got a lot on your plate, as well as leading a beautiful family. How can people find you if you're able to, be accessed? I know you might, be pretty picky these days, but if I know you do speaking engagements and things like that. How can they find you, and where can they find Brick and Chains, as well as from prison cells to PhD?
Yes, so Breaking Chains, Building Futures can be found anywhere where books are sold. Get a hold of your local bookstore, independent bookstore, or Barnes and Noble, or Amazon, or Target. I know folks got their Me Too. Like, I feel, some type of way about places like Amazon or Target. Then go to Barnes and Noble. It's at Barnes and Noble or your local bookstore. Definitely pick up a copy. Breaking Chains, Building Futures. And then you can get in touch with me at Dr. underscore Andrisse for Instagram, Twitter, IG, and LinkedIn. And you can get in touch with the organization at Prison 2 Pro. So prison, the number two, and then pro. And then you can reach us via email at info@prison2pro.org.
Awesome, awesome. It's been a great time talking with you. This may be the final episode actually of ReHuman podcast. So grateful that you joined us today. I don't know. Just really honored. I'm inspired. I'm thinking about the Institute. I'm going to be thinking about it for a while. So I know it's gonna happen. We're visualizing it. It's tangible. I
Yes.
see it, I feel it, I can smell it. It's there. Ashe is done. Um, Thank you
Yes.
so much. It's been a pleasure. And
Thank
I will
you.
see you soon, I guess, at some point. Or one of these signings.
Yes.
Because I'm
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh yeah. We'll see. We got a lot of work.
yeah, you're building a family with us co-authors. So I'm really appreciating
Yes.
that camaraderie. All
Yeah.
right. Peace and love. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.